reason I found it hard to discipline is because when I said you were on punishment, you had to stay in, I had to stay in too. I had to stay in to make sure you stayed in and didn't watch TV and did that. So it became very hard. Also, as a parent, you love your kids. You want to give them everything you can. That's why you work. So it's hard to hold back. So that's why I think you see so many kids now undisciplined. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Also, you must be, number 7, and these are mine. You must be very careful what you say to your children and what you say when they're listening. Sometimes you're not always talking to them, but you're talking to someone else. You don't want them to hear you saying negative things about another person, especially if it's a family member. Don't do that, okay? Because they take on what you take on. They hear you and they believe you because they love you. So it's very important. Also, I know you don't do it, but you're dealing with young parents. So you got to talk to them about how they talk to their kids. I have heard young women cuss at their kids, and then they want to know why the kids grew up cussing at them. You cannot. You must, with the young women that you're working with raising their kids, you have to teach them that they have to be very careful about what they say around kids and what they say to them. I know you've never heard this, but there are some parents who call their kids stupid, dumb, and then they want to know why they don't do well in school or why they act a certain way. The other thing that really bothers me is when they compare them to their father in a negative way, because many of the young women we work with, the father may not be in the home. And I've heard them, because I work with young women, say you're dumb just like your daddy. You're lazy just like your daddy. That should not ever happen. First of all, you chose the daddy. And so, whatever choice you made, the child should not be responsible. And that is important, that you convey that to young women. I find too many of them that I work with want to use the child as a tool to get back at the father. This does not do anything but wreak havoc on the mentality and the emotional status of the child. Now, and the other thing, I've heard this, I don't know if you've ever heard it, but hopefully we never hear a parent telling a child that they're fat, or they're too skinny, or their hair looks like this. Remind them, if you hear that they went through an ugly stage too. Hopefully nobody told them that, but remind them, we all went through them ugly stages as we were young. I think that it's very important that you praise your kids. Praise their artwork, even if it's not good. Praise their clothes, even if you don't like them, and they put them together. Praise their singing, even if they can't sing. And there was another incident. That's why I say you really got to think about it. And I was a young parent, and I didn't even realize it. It wasn't anything I said negative. I went to a play that Rashid and his friend did, Derek. And Derek was so good in this play. And after the play, I was raving over Derek. I said, oh, Derek, you were so good in this play. I don't think I told Rashid, I must did, because he told me later on when he went into acting that he waited because I raved over Derek, and I never told him that he was good in that play. That boy was only 6 years old or 7 years old, but he remembered even what I didn't say. So sometimes it's important, not just what you say, but what you don't say. So if your child's in a play or they're in a dance and somebody else is dancing better than them, they dance just as good. Remember to tell them how good they were, how pretty they were. And even though you grown, you still want to hear it too. So remember, we're just big kids, and remember what the kids need. What you say is very important. I just talked about that. But my God, what you do is more important than what you say. They are looking at you all the time. They are watching you. And many a child has said, I'm sure, to their parent, and I know mine said it to me, I learned that from you by what you were doing. I had no idea that that's what he was learning. That's something that some of my students have said, well, Doc, you worked really hard, and I wanted to be a hard worker like you. Or, Doc, you always came to work professional looking, and I knew that I had to do that, whatever job I went on. So, remember that they're watching you, they're watching how you treat people. It is very important that they see what you want them to be. And that they can only see that if you're doing that. One of the most important things that was part of Rashid's rearing, and the rearing, I must have, I don't know how many kids that were birthed to me that called me mama. Probably no less than 400 or 500, I'm telling you the truth. But one thing was really, really clear. You are not my friend. You are my child. I see, that may sound a little bit harsh to you, but I see too many adults and parents trying to be friends with their kids. You're not their friend. You can be a friendly, but you're not their friend. And once you cross that line, it's hard to get back. Because when you put yourself on the same level with a child, either your child or another child, and then they start to treat you like they do their friends, you want to get upset. Why? You've been trying to be their friend all along. And it's hard. I used to tell him that, you know, we can be friendly. We can talk about certain things we can't do. And one of the things, like, I've seen this too. As a matter of fact, I had to bring it to Rashid's attention. Rashid didn't drink with me. He didn't drink with me. The first time he ever probably drank with me, he might have been 35 or 40, and it was at dinner with a glass of wine. I went to New York to visit. I don't know what I was doing in New York, but he and Amoye and I, and at the time Amoye was 20, went out to dinner. When I got there, he and Amoye were having a glass of wine together. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to bust him out in front of Amoye, okay? So later on, I said to him, if I were you, I wouldn't drink with her. I said, she is your daughter, and I would not drink with her at 2021 because you're going to lose something. You know what he said to me, don't you? Oh, Mom, you old-fashioned. He did go back and ask a couple of his friends who were his age. They probably thought I was old-fashioned too. But guess what? Within less than a month, he came back. He said, Mama, you were right. I said, why? Why was I right? He said, Amoye was drinking at one of my shows, and she stepped to one of my friends like she shouldn't have. Now I understand, because she thought she was on the same level as me. I said, well, you put her there. You put her there when you start to have a drink with her. She thinks she can socialize at your level. So to end this story, she no longer drinks with him. I remember, and some of you, if you've had young kids, might experience this. That's why I say it's very hard not to be your child's friend when they're young. I remember coming in and Rashid wanted to have some ice cream, but he hadn't eaten his dinner. So I said, you can't have any ice cream. And he looked at me with his eyes. He said, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. My God, that hurt my heart. I wanted to give him that ice cream, but I didn't. I held on. I realized that it wouldn't be good for him, and it wouldn't be good for me as a mother. As a result of, I think, that kind of relationship, he is my best friend now. The gentleman who drove me here, I'm not real good with names, I forgot. Rashid called on the way, and we prayed together. That's the kind of friendship we had. He told me he enjoyed the prayer that we had. He truly has become my best friend. You never would have thought that when he was young, because we just, we just couldn't have that relationship. I always wanted to raise a child that, my mother said I was always old, that if something happened to me at a young age, somebody else would want to take them. Not that they would have to take them, but they would want to take them. And I also wanted to make very sure that, and I can truly say, I like my child. All of us love our kids, but we don't like them. We don't like all of them. And we don't like all of them all the time. So I say to you, if you want to raise a child that you like, it's very important that you be the parent. The last one that I will add to the isms is a little bit of fear ain't never hurt nobody. And I'm purposely saying ain't, even though I'm an English major. I think that's one of the big problems we have today, is that's why you see some of the young men and the gangbangers, that they are not afraid of police. They're not afraid of anybody. At a young age, you can use the look, you don't have to spank, but they ought to be afraid of something. I was more afraid of my mother than doing something with my friends. I was scared to come home, not doing what I was supposed to have done. But I see a generation of kids who are not afraid of nothing. And that's not good, because then you don't know what can hurt you. If you're not afraid of anything, you don't make good decisions. You don't know what can hurt you. So I think whether it's a look, whether you have to step back or whatever, they ought to be a little bit afraid of you. They ought not know what's always going to happen. It may be that they'll be punished. It may be that you'll let them know you're disappointed, but they ought to be afraid. Now, I looked at SWAT and I thought about what you had there. Strengths, I think we already know what to do. You have more than you need to do what you need to do to be successful with kids. And if you don't know Big Mama's rules, you need to go back and get them. And then you need to pick up a couple of Mahalia Hines and put them together. And I think it will help you to raise successful children. A weakness that I see we have as adults is we don't know those school rules. And we don't want to do the work that it takes to raise a child. It takes a lot of work to raise a child, to be the kind, loving, contributing adult to society. They come with everything that they need. They just need you to step up and be grown. Be the adult. Be the mother. Be the friend. No, don't be the friend. I messed up on that. Be friendly, okay, and loving. But they need adults in their lives to help them make decisions. I know that the generation that came after me, I want my kids to talk. I want them to be able to make decisions. I want them to think. I do too. But remember, if God thought that kids had all they needed, they would have come here grown. They wouldn't need you. They wouldn't need a parent. They'd have come here grown. He'd have sent them here grown. So, do the work we need to do. The opportunities we have right now in front of us is organizations like this that can help us to do the work that we need to do. The biggest threat that I see we have today is us and technology. It's very difficult with technology today. Technology is wonderful. But as a parent or anyone who works with kids, you've got to be up on it. You cannot let them be so far ahead of you that you don't know what they're using. If you don't know, you better ask somebody, because you have to know what they're doing, who they're talking to, where they're talking, and what they're doing online. So I say to you, thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and I hope in some kind of way I've been able to share at least one thing that you can use for working with children or raising your own. Thank you very much.